We've made it to the 2020s in part 7, the last part in my series on European Car of the Year winners. We're looking at how successful each car was. Were they a peach or were they a lemon? If you haven't seen the previous 6 parts, I recommend starting with part 1, which is linked above or in the description. So let's go through as much of the 2020s as we've seen so far, and afterwards I'll sum up how I think the jury did and take a look forward to the nominees for the 2025 European Car of the Year. The 2010s were all about electrification and crossovers, and the 2020s continued in the same vein. Given that, it was a bit of a surprise that the car of the year for 2020 was the Peugeot 208. Well, maybe not, as this was the sort of car regular people were actually buying. The iconic 205 got close to winning in 1984, but was up against stiff competition in the form of the Fiat Uno. The 206 lost out to the first Ford Focus, and the 207 was a distant 6th in 2007, so it was maybe a relief to Peugeot that their small hatchback finally got the Car of the Year crown, beating out the Tesla Model 3 no less. And no wonder it won. The second generation 208 is a nice little hatchback and available as an EV with just over 200 miles of range, if that's your thing. To keep costs low, car makers were abandoning Western European car factories, certainly for small cars like this with low profit margins, and the 208 was produced in Slovakia, Morocco and Argentina. It might be good and praised by the judges, but in comparisons by motor critics, the competition, like the Ford Fiesta, won out. In hindsight, you'd be mad to launch your new car in 2020, the year that we all huddled under rocks before working from home and forgetting how to drive. There were some cars that launched just before the lockdown, like the Citroën Ami and the 2021 winner, the 4th generation Toyota Yaris. This was only the 5th time a Japanese car maker had won the award, despite the quality of Japanese cars and the popularity of Japanese cars in Europe. It was the 2nd time the Yaris had won, the first time had been with the 1st generation in 2000. It wasn't completely Japanese. The version sold in Europe was manufactured in France and the Czech Republic. Reviewers found the interior quality a little lacking, surprising for a Japanese car, but the level of equipment was good, with speed adaptive cruise control and lane keeping as standard. Unlike the other previous Toyota winner, the Prius, it came as standard as a hybrid that gave excellent fuel economy. But reviewers preferred last year's winner, the Peugeot 208, or even the Ford Fiesta, or the new Dacia Sandero. You could buy 2 of those for the price of a Yaris and still have £3,000 left over to spend on hand sanitizer and face masks. Well, until the supply chain issues hit, in which case the car that you wanted to buy in 2020 was the only car that was in stock. Given all these supply chain problems and the fact that we're pretty close to 2020, it's hard to say if the Yaris was a hit after it launched, but it's sold respectfully well. Governments all over Europe had laid out plans for total car electrification by the 2030s, which meant car companies all had plans of replacing their petrol cars with EVs very soon. It made them look like green custodians, and well, if they didn't, they wouldn't be selling cars in Europe. So it's maybe not a surprise that the top 3 cars for 2022 were all EVs. In 3rd place was the Hyundai Ioniq 5, 2nd the Renault Megane E-Tech, and in 1st place the Kia EV6. Seeing as Kia and Hyundai are essentially the same company and the EV6 and Ioniq 5 are very closely related, it's surprising that Hyundai came 3rd and not 2nd. But the judges obviously felt that the Kia EV6 had the edge. It was the first win for a Korean car maker as well, and showed how far they'd come in recent years, creating cars that rivaled the best the world had to offer. The judges liked how much range the car offered, up to 361 miles, as well as ultra-fast charging, 10% to 80% charge in just 18 minutes. If you could find a charger that could deliver that power, of course. Inside, there was lots of tech, like you'd expect from a Korean car manufacturer. So far, sales have been tiny in Europe, maybe due to the lack of demand for EVs in some countries. Sales ramped up, but by 2023 they'd only reached 36,000 in Europe. American cars have only once won European Car of the Year, unless you count cars that Ford, Chrysler and GM's European divisions created. At one time was the Chevrolet Volt plug-in hybrid, rebadged as the Vauxhall Opel Ampera. But in 2023, the winner was from a true American brand, Jeep, with the Avenger. That's not to confuse it with the Hillman Avenger, also from the Chrysler stable, and probably why they were able to use that name. This is an all-American off-roader, shrunk down to fit on European roads. Okay, that's not completely true. It's not an off-roader, it's not even American, it's a Peugeot 2008 with a different body shape, and there aren't any plans to sell it in the US. This is a European car through and through, styled by an Italian in Turin and built in Poland. It is, of course, an EV, but you can also buy one with a 1.3 litre hybrid engine. It's too soon to know how well the Avenger will fare, but the striking looks and the balls to use a colour other than white, black or silver set it apart from its rivals. The interior is fun as well, although the plastics are a little cheap. But that's a minor thing if it gives you a smile every time you push the start button. The 2024 winner was another repeat winner. Back in 1997, the Car of the Year jury rightly noticed the work that Renault had put in to create the Megane Scenic MPV. In 2024, they noticed it again, although the Scenic, now with the E-Acute removed, is a very different car, or a very similar car at least to every other compact crossover on sale today. I mean, where's the innovation from the original car? And just look at the rear loading, it's like we've taken a step back. The FSO Polonaise was pilloried when it launched because of the high loading sill, but that's exactly what the Scenic has, and no one bats an eyelid. And fold the back seats down and you don't exactly have a level deck to load things in. At least it has a 40-20-40 split rear seat. The doors have a fiddly and confusing way to open them. It's got a spongy brake pedal and the handling isn't anything to write home about. The EV charging speed isn't amazing either. But this is the shape of the car that customers want today. It's got enough room inside and it doesn't rock the boat with the outside styling. I'll say it again though, the original Scenic had many new innovative features. Just why did this car win European Car of the Year? Why is it so amazing? Or was the competition this year just so bad? The European Car of the Year has been awarded for the past 61 years. The jury has mostly picked cars that have been a success or a moderate success. Then there were cars that the jury thought would be surefire hits but turned out to be duds as far as the public was concerned, such as the Austin 1800 Land Crab. I'll also put the third generation Ford Granada Scorpio into the mix, as the large luxury hatchback wasn't what the public wanted. They didn't like the Citroën XM, the Vauxhall Opel Ampera and also the Jaguar I-Pace. Other cars held promise but were let down by reliability or quality. I'm looking at you, NSU R080, Rover SD1 and to some extent the Alfa Romeo 156. But given the jury doesn't have a magic 8-ball to see the future, this is a remarkably good strike rate. I'm not sure I would do quite as well. We're days away from the announcement of the 2025 European Car of the Year. The 7 finalists are the Alfa Romeo Junior, Citroën C3, Cupra, Terramar, Dacia Duster, Hyundai Insta, Renault 5 Alpine A290, I've done a video about that and you can get a link above, and the Kia EV3. Which of these compact crossover clones will win? Well, we'll just have to wait to find out. I hope you enjoyed this series. It was something a little different for me, certainly. If you're watching when this video is released, then all I can say is I hope you have a very happy new year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.